Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new day of Road to TCG Worlds 2018. Now this weekend we have Daytona Regionals, another expanded format, and we did have some very interesting decks come out of Bilbao. We also have Fort Wayne to consider, and so one of the decks that made it all the way to the top 8 in the biggest regional to date was straight Golisopod, no Garb, Octillery support, Sudowoodo support, Tapu Koko, heavy support with triple Koko there, but no Garb, and with a different base pick from the norm. So yeah, let's check it out. Triple Golisopod GX, 210 HP, first impression, 30 plus 90 if Golisopod was on your bench and became your active Pokemon. Armor Press, dealing 100 damage and reducing the damage you receive by 20. And then Crossing Cut GX, allowing you to switch back onto the bench and dealing 150 damage. Fire Weakness, not ideal because of the popularity of the Turtles deck, most likely going into the event. Now, Sycamore, who was the person who played this deck, and I actually lost to him during Swiss rounds in day 2. He had the Golisopod, the baby Golisopod, or the non-GX Golisopod rather, which has the ability Armor, which takes Mace Golisopod takes 30 less damage from attacks, and has Resolute Claws, which deals an extra 70 damage if the opponent's Pokemon is a GX or an EX. For Wimpod, really good card, has a lot of synergy with Golisopod GX's first impression, and then with a triple Tapu Koko, you get a very good chance to just retreat and have that protection off of the first turn. Excuse me, Flying Flip allows you to bring up things into Golisopod range, which is really nice. Then for support, we have the one Sudowoodo in order to limit our opponent's bench. We have one Remoraid and one Octillery in order for us to draw more cards. Then we have a single Oricorio to try and help with the Night March matchup, although we do have a lot of HP for them to deal with, and the Tapu Lele for extra draw supporters. Now, as far as supporters go, we have 4 Sycamore, 3 N, 3 Guzma, and then singles of Acerola, Colress, Brigette, and AC. Acerola and AC have different functionalities. I do like the split here. It makes sense to me. Acerola is really good, but conserving energy is not that much of a priority, and then AC can help you pick up something that might not have any damage, but means it's no longer at risk from getting Guzma or something like that. And then we have, of course, the 4 via Seeker for Ultra Ball, 3 Choice Band, and 2 Float Stone, along with the 2 Field Blower, 1 Rescue Stretcher, and the the Scoop Up Cyclone as the ace pick of choice because it combos really well with Golisopod. Rounding out the deck, we have 4 double colorless energy and 6 basic grass. So yeah, this deck made it all the way to top 8. Not the standard Golisopod deck or Golisopod Garb. Very different from what I ran at the regional, and I did lose to Zach. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. We see we're up against a Psychic Grass deck, so probably Golisopod Garb. No Koko seems very strange. What else could be Psychic and Grass in this current format? I'm actually not sure. What could be other than Golisopod Garb. No Tapu Koko promo seems strange though. Grandmaster 11 will most likely get to go first. There we go. And so, not an ideal start, but I mean, I guess Sudowoodo immediately kind of sets our opponent back. And then we have the Lele for Brigette if we can get that. Oh, is this Lurantis Vulu Lele? It must be Lurantis Tapu Lulu. Tapu Lulu, eh? Tapu Lulu. Wait, what? What? Perhaps it's Parisian Genesect with Tapu Lele-GX? We see Ether Paradise come into play. So my opponent's GX Pokemon, basic GX Pokemon, will get protection from my attacks. I won't get protection. And the Fighting Fury Belt means that my opponent can no longer use the G booster unless he Field Blowers and then attaches it immediately. Brigette is priced, so that's not great for us. That actually means the Lele will pretty much be wasted, so I'm not gonna grab anything. Gonna bench the Wimpod. I'm going to discard the N and the Choice Band because I'm gonna 2-hit KO no matter what. Gonna grab another Wimpod. I do have the Float Stone. Perhaps I should have grabbed something off of Lele to discard with Ultra Ball. That was probably a better play so that I could keep the Choice Band in play. However, we seem to be off to an okay start. I'm gonna keep the energy in my hand just because I have a feeling my opponent is probably holding back a Guzma, so an energy plus a Guzma does get a knockout. See another Fighting Fury Belt, we see another Grass, so never mind. And we're gonna see a Via Seeker for a Sycamore. But what deck is this? This is a weird Plasma deck with Tapu Lele. Weird Plasma deck with Tapu Lele. We see a Field Blower onto our Sudowoodo, which sucks. Now retreating is actually decently hard. However, we do have Lele, which we can use to go for a Guzma and then get the first attack off on the Genesect EX with our own Golisopod. Or Golisopod. I really don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know if it's Golisopod or Golisopod. And then with a Choice Band, we hit for 150, and if it doesn't get removed, oh no, never mind, he has Ether Paradise. So we hit for 120. Next turn, we definitely need a Field Blower in order to get rid of the stadium, or a way to switch out. See a Nestball for another Genesect EX, and we see an N. So big chance of us hitting the Field Blower here. Well, not really big, but at least we get an extra use of a supporter card. We get Via Seeker, we get Ultra Ball, we get Colress as well. AC means we get a knockout. But it does have Field Blower. He removes the Choice Band. He decides not to switch out, and he attached with Colorless Machine the Plasma on the active, and then he attached to Tapu Lele GX on the bench. But once again, 23 Belt means he will not be able to knock out my Golisopod. And now here I have AC. Here definitely Acerola would be strictly better. However, we're gonna deal 90 damage, that's 210, which is exactly the amount we need to get this knockout, so I am okay. I'm actually okay with losing the energy, but yeah, probably Acerola would have been a lot better in this spot. Here's a 90 damage, we remove one big threat. My opponent should not be able to knock us out, and we actually get the Acerola off of our prize card, so it's really good. A combination of Choice Band plus Field Blower plus the DC would get us a knockout. However, doesn't seem too feasible. But it is running a Virizion Genesect deck with I don't know how many copies of Tapu Lele and Max Elixirs too. Okay, so we see a Plasma Energy. The opponent will probably bring up something else up. No, chooses not to, so he'll just go for the Horn attack here. Another Grass means he gets to use the GX attack. So if I go for Armor Press, and he discards all the energy, he deals 190, minus 20, that's 170, plus 40, that's 210 damage, exactly. So, probably shouldn't do that, so I'm just gonna attach, and Well, I mean, I think it's fine. If he uses a GX attack for 160, he doesn't get a knockout. If he goes for the other attack and he gets a knockout, then the other Golisopod can finish off the deal. So it seems alright to do it this way. I do find a Field Blower, however, I was not able to find a choice band. Oof. I was not able to find a choice band. So might as well keep the Field Blower for another occasion. I'm just gonna crossing cut GX here. Gonna promote the Sudowoodo, it's the most expendable Pokemon here. And yeah, I mean, if he Guzmas up, it's gonna be complicated. If he Lysander knocks out the Golisopod, that's okay. He can't knock out with the GX attack. If he does, then we just hit him right back. And he does grab the Guzma, so probably going to go after the Golisopod and retreat. However, we are generally okay with that. There we see the grass. There's a mosquito near my water. Very weird deck by my opponent. I don't think Freezing Genesect is too viable right now. The Octillery doesn't add to the damage that Tapu Lele does, so he is forced to discard all of his energy. Now what we really need here is a Float Stone or an Acerola. If I go for the Acerola play, that's a guarantee. There's finally the Koko we needed previously instead of this Sudowoodo. Probably going to just Acerola here. Removing this. I mean, I still get the knockout no matter what, but this is playing it super safe. I'm gonna AC up the Sudowoodo. I'm gonna attach the Golisopod, AC the Sudowoodo, Golisopod was on the bench, and there's the victory. So yeah, pretty straightforward. The reliability and longevity of Golisopod, and overall the better damage output. I mean, my opponent was dealing less damage or the same damage than I was for the same energy costs, and when he had the chance to deal extra damage, he had to get rid of all his resources, whereas Golisopod only requires 1 energy. And now let me turn on the light, so I'll be back. Didn't get a chance to see the preview screen, so don't know what we're up against, which is fair. We do get to go first though, which is awesome. And oof, this hand with a Koko would have been great. However, no Koko. No Tapu Koko for us this time around. Even a Wimpod. Well, rather any basic besides Sudowoodo or Lele would have been okay. There we get the Wimpod and the Koko and the Lele, so we're in a pretty okay position here. Pretty good position. And we're up against Night March, alright. So I'm gonna grab, am I? Yeah, I think going for Brigette is correct here. We get to set up our Octillery that we saw was not priced. We can also potentially bench Sudowoodo if we really wanted to, just because it could potentially limit like a super explosive turn. We also have Oricorio, so that's really good to know. And yeah, I'm going for Sudowoodo just because it really limits our opponent's potential to go off on turn 1 with a lot of Shamans and get a lot of Pokemon in the discard because he already benched the Oranguru. So yeah, no complaints here from our start, and going first is just such a huge advantage. It's really huge. Now there we see Okay. We see the first Shaman, we see Trainer's Mail, we see Ultra Ball. Puzzle of Time, we see Marshadow. Only 2 Night Marchers in the discard pile for my opponent, so he needs, wow, Taurus and TC discard. Wow, there's actually already 2 TCs in the discard pile. 4 Night Marchers now. Didn't see what he got, but he might be, oh, there's a compressor, never mind. So my opponent will be able to get a knockout. Based on this, perhaps perhaps grabbing another Koko instead of Sudowoodo would have been a much better idea. I guess hindsight is 2020 and it should have been that. Or I could have just retreated into the Sudowoodo instead. Reckon I'm going to Ultra Ball here, get rid of AC and N, grab Golisopod, and now it comes down to, can we get Float Stone plus Grass or a DC to get the return KO here on the Pumpkaboo. 7 Night Marchers in the discard by my opponent makes it very likely that he'll be able to finish off the Lele, and not only do I not get energy, but I also don't get not even a grass energy, so we're in a lot of trouble here. Yeah, we're definitely in a lot of trouble. We see another discard from the Battle Compressor, so 10 Night Marchers already in my opponent's discard pile. 150 HP means we can get a knockout on Marshadow. Not this turn, but probably the next one. Oof. We see Puzzle of Time, so probably going to get back the Stadium here and get that key knockout. And that means trouble for us once again. We're gonna be able to Colress for 9, but oh, my opponent ends us. That's really good. So he chose to shuffle or take a look at the top 3 cards in his deck. Okay, so does my opponent whip the Stadium? That's the key part here. And I guess Sudowoodo is putting in the work. It delayed us a turn from getting a knockout, but we wouldn't have been able to get the knockout anyways because we didn't get any energy whatsoever. So I could end here, I could AC, I could Super Scoop Cyclone. Marshadow now has 190 HP, which is not accessible for us. So if I take a knockout, he will have 11 Night Marchers, which is more than enough. He will need a TC though, and that will be the 3rd TC in the discard pile. However, if I do that, he might simply get access to Teammates. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to Super Scoop Up Cyclone, promote Octillery, then I'm going to bench Lele, and I'm going to grab a Guzma here. Because he needs to either find a Stadium or his last DCE. And neither of those sound simple at all. I'm gonna Pixel Land for 1. Never hurts to have that 1 extra card. And I'm gonna First Impression for 120. Using First Impression for 150 would have been ideal. That way a Field Blower could get a knockout. But alas, that is just not the case. And you can see how much or how quick Night March is. 14 cards left in my opponent's deck versus 31 for us. And wow, my opponent just simply passes here. So, I reckon this is confusing though. Is he holding Teammates? I think that's the question. I would assume he is. Or with the extra bench space, he can just go for Lele and grab Teammates. So perhaps knocking out Pumpkaboo would be a good idea. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to Guzma up the Marshadow and take a knockout, but 10, that's 100. So I'm gonna take a knockout with Armor Press. That way, my opponent should have an even harder time taking a knockout on my Golisopod GX, whilst in the meantime I get 2 prizes myself. And I even get a VS Seeker to potentially target another EX or GX on my opponent's bench. There's another Marshadow, so we can still go after that. Okay, my opponent plays a probability, limits my bench, so I'm gonna discard the Sudowoodo and the Lele or the Wimpod. I think the Wimpod is better, just because this way I have a 1 retreat cost Pokemon in my bench, and there's a Teammates. Yep. However, I believe my opponent just made a crucial mistake. Unless he decides to attach yet another DCE to the Pumpkaboo, which would be his last one, he cannot play 2 stadiums in 1 turn. So we might see an immediate concession here once my opponent realizes this. But yeah, my opponent cannot play the Dimension Valley, and therefore Pumpkaboo cannot attack this turn. He already played a supporter, so my opponent cannot play Guzma and DCE. If he attaches DCE to the Marshadow and retreats, he is literally 10 damage short. Okay, so he has the Float Stone. Using Oranguru, he doesn't have a way to increase damage output because he would have played that card before using Oranguru, so Golisopod is actually very safe here. And even with an extra Night Marcher, Armor Press would have protected us and we would have been at 10 HP from getting knocked out, and my opponent simply passes here. So do I go after the Marshadow or not? That is the question here, and I believe the answer would be yes. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Guzma. Gonna Guzma up the Marshadow, that way I still have my GX attack. I'm gonna promote Lele because I can retreat that so easily. Probably don't want to discard both Sycamores. I'm gonna discard one on the Ultra. Gonna grab another Golisopod and set that up. And yeah, things are looking really good here. We get to Abyssal Hand for an extra 3 cards. We even find a Float Stone, which I'm gonna save for later, or actually for Octillery instead of Lele. And then we're gonna use Crossing Cut GX, and we are going to promote whom? Should have kept the Float Stone in my hand, that's a mistake on my part. 10 Night Marchers, that's the 11th. Maybe the 12th is priced, so my opponent might simply not be able to knock out Golisopod. I feel like that's probably the safest choice here to take the hit for us. And yeah, there's the Golisopod. We get 2 cards. One is a Koko, one is a TC, neither of which really help us. Only 2 VS Seeker played, no Acerola yet. So we could potentially top deck a VS Seeker or the Acerola, so that's 3 cards out of 25. That immediately help us. There's a Lysander. I'm okay with a Lysander play, but my opponent actually chooses to Sycamore. He's down to 1 card, so yeah. There's absolutely no way my opponent can win here. he has been whiffing too much, and Pumpkaboo has not been up to par for sure. It really hasn't been up to par. And yeah, there's the victory. So pretty straightforward game. Getting rid of the Dimension Valley was really good, and I believe, I don't know, that seems very weak from Night March. Only running 2 Dimension Valley seems very weak in terms of having reliability on Pumpkaboo as an attacker, so you're always relying on just 30 HP Joltik or the GX liability, which is Marshadow, which does have extra HP, but it's still lower than most GXs. So yeah, I'm sure every deck will like to trade the 2 for 2 price trade-off instead of 1 for 2 that Marshadow allows. And yeah, this will be all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to do a like on the video if you can. And I will see hopefully many of you tomorrow at Daytona Regionals. Thank you guys, and bye-bye.